right, we continue to learn a lot as this former jailmate David Thompson doesn't seem to have any reservations and hold back when being questioned as we learn more about those voice conversations. And with that, joining me for this final hour of analysis, our trial attorneys Bob Hille and Gabriel Sanchez. Gabriel, thanks for joining us. I'm going to start with you. What are you making of this testimony? Do you find this witness credible? And more importantly, what do you think the jury is making of it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Based on, I mean, anytime you have some sort of witness that's a felon that's been incarcerated, that's definitely going to have some credibility issues and some points counted towards you. Under the laws in most states, a felon, anyone that has a felony conviction that's done prison time, the jury can take that into consideration when weighing their credibility. So it's not if you're a DA, this is not like, shouldn't be your star witness and you're hoping to stack the deck with better witnesses. But if I'm a juror and based on my experience as an attorney and doing these types of trials, you gotta have some backup plans, because that's not I think a juries will tend to be biased towards someone that has a felony conviction. Anytime you're selecting a jury and you have some witness that has a felony, the first thing I do is ask the jury about, hey, are you going to treat my client fairly if one of the witnesses has a felony conviction? You want to flesh out what that felony conviction is and see how the jury responds to it before selecting those juries. So it's a good point, and I think juries tend to not like that, though.
Bob, as you and I have been sitting here watching this and watching the progression of this testimony, are you still continuing, or wasn't it all buying what he's selling?
Well, I think we're getting to a break point here, because there's two reasons now that's becoming clear with this witness. The first is that he's talking about an obstruction plan in the murder case, which would demonstrate guilt. So there's your proof basis that the state's looking for. The other is to corroborate the witness's story and make him appear more truthful, because now they can back it up. The real credible thing that we're going to have to look for here is, what is the connection, though, to the defendant? We heard he might be in the background or maybe made a voice, but his connection to those tapes, what's being said, that's going to be important.
Well, there's still some things, as you mentioned, that seem a little bit unclear, and hopefully we get some clarification. All right, as we continue to listen to the testimony of David Thompson, I'm wondering what my legal panel thinks about the amount of time they spent on his questioning. Will this all be worth it? What do you think, Gabriel?
It's hard to say. I mean, I don't like, he's a bank robber. His credibility is questionable as it is. Anytime you commit a serious crime like that, and it reflects on your credibility and your ability to be truthful. So, I think they need to go heavier on the other witnesses they have. But whatever their strategy is, I guess it'll pan out. But I would definitely focus on more other witnesses and put less weight on a jailhouse snitch that has a felony conviction.
And Bob, are you taking away anything that could potentially be truly meaningful in his testimony?
Well, if you believe it, he conspired with the defendant, or the defendant conspired with him, to try and take out what the defendant thought was an important witness in the murder case against him. So that kind of obstruction effort would show or demonstrate, an idea that, I'm guilty, or I may be found guilty, and, because an innocent person arguably would not take those measures. But, it's going to take more than just these statements. There's got to be a direct link and some maybe taping or whatever, because, notes, there's going to be cameras. Calls, we know they're taping, and both these individuals had to know that their calls were being listened to.
Well, I think Gabriel also makes a good point, because when you're so smooth at doing these shady dealings, are we going to really believe what you have to say now? Because you could sound just as smooth doing it. Are you telling the truth? So it'll be interesting to see what the jury thinks of this. All right, we all have to go in a few moments, but before we do, I want to get our gentlemen's final thoughts here. Gabriel, I know there was some chaos going on and then some arguments outside of the jury. What do you think?
I don't like this. I mean, it just... it's almost like it's you say a movie, this guy's trying to eliminate a witness so he doesn't show up at trial. I'm not buying it. I don't think this guy's credible. The notes are very vague. I don't think there's I haven't seen the linkage up to the prosecutor's theory of the case yet. Guys just got a history of lying, making up, even lied to the defendant about having this fictitious person involved. And I don't like it. It's too fabricated to me, and I don't think this guy's credible at all.
Bob, what do you think? We've been watching him. He was entertaining in the beginning, but it seemed to slowly kind of fall off the wagon a little bit. Is he just wanting 15 minutes of fame here?
And cross is going to be interesting. I mean, come on, $1,000 to kidnap or kill someone? You know, unless there's evidence from the defendant here that ties into this testimony that incriminates the defendant, I just think the jury's going to discount it.
Do you feel that that the jury's going to see any of this as valuable information?
Well, all the evidence is going to be valuable to them. What kind of weight and credibility they give it, you know, is going to be a big question mark here.
All right, it remains to be seen. That will do it for us here. For Bob Hille and Gabriel Sanchez, I'm Michelle Yu. Thank you so much for watching. There is still so much law and crime trial coverage after this, so stay with us. We will be right back.
Mike Sachs, and this is Law and Crime.